Hey guys, so I'm with Dennis from Run That Rehab. We just had a mad night last night, yeah?
Yeah, it was a good night up at Cap Carter event on 170 Russell Street, Melbourne. And just a big thanks and a bit of gratitude for you coming all the way down from Sydney. It really means a lot.
While I have the opportunity to be here in Melbourne with you, Dennis, I really want to talk to you about Rehab because that's your kind of brand, right?
Yeah.
It is. So we get a lot of people out there that reach out to you, reach out to me, and they're like, it's almost like they say, hey man, I'm a heroin addict or I'm using the ice, fix me. You know, and it's like...
Yeah, I was the same, you know?
Yeah.
And even back in the 90s and 2000s when my friends, not many, only couples, they went to rehab and they asked me to go to NA and I was the same thing. I was ignorant. I was saying, fuck rehab and fuck NA. Why would I want to be around other drug addicts to get off drugs? But it's a totally different once you're in there.
Absolutely, and that's what I want to talk to you about, Dennis. So when people reach out to me, the two things I always say to them is they say, oh, what can you do to help me? And I always say straight back, what are you doing to help yourself? The second thing I say is go to fucking rehab because you went to rehab, bro. Let's walk through that. How was it when you first got there?
Oh, so when I first got there, all right, first of all, because I've been in and out of jail, you got to be very mindful of it, as in when you walk into rehab, it can become another institution. You just run by the rules and your survival skills come in and you actually don't learn anything. Because when I went into rehab, so many people getting caught up in politics, hooking up with each other, trying to divert their medication or where they get visits and get the Suboxone in. So I had to step away from that whole scene. Like, I remember there was one time one of the boys from Springvale came in and I told him straight up, I go, hey, we've been out there on the streets together, but I'm running that rehab now, and I'm aligning with that. And it took maybe months later, and I'm glad that he didn't tell me. He ended up bringing in a shitload of Suboxone in, and everyone got on it, but he never approached me. And those little things about setting boundaries, it pays dividends later on down the track. But you fucking have to learn them. Like, I'm on social media talking, run that rehab, mindset, perspective, boundaries, self-accountability, but it's also like I had to learn that shit and I had to fail at it many times, and I learned that was just one of the things that I learned in rehab.
One of the things that people don't understand about rehab, it's totally in contrast to prison if we're doing it right. In prison, snitches get stitches, right? We don't dob, never tell. But in rehab, it's about ownership, right? It's about accountability.
Yes. Yeah, it's a different style. Like, you met Jarvis Atkinson, a.k.a. Chainbreaker. He's Koori mob up from Shepparton.
Yep.
And I actually walked in there and there was a group running. It was called Transitions Group. Basically means anyone that went into prison had to do this group. And Jarvis was, running it. Yeah. And I walked in and I looked at him and I know he's been around just by the way, he looks and the way he swag and the way he talks. That also resonated with me because I could relate to it. But one of the things is what I've learned in those groups was it's how we frame it in our minds. Like, how they always say, surrender to the program, surrender to the program. If you're from the street or you're from jail, that's real triggering, and it's like we have that automatic rebuttal responses where it doesn't align with us. But for me, I just reframed it and turned it into, how about you go all in on yourself? Because we spend too much time sticking fat with the boys, we always put ourselves last. So, yeah.
Do you know another thing I remember from rehab, right? I used to see all these people who were so good at, they were doing so well in rehab, and I thought, wow, I wish I could be where they're at. And the funny thing is, at the other end, they're not the ones that made it, bro. It's the ones that do it tough, the ones who are held accountable and actually have a bit of a rocky path through that seem to get through, right?
That's it. Like, when I was in there, same thing. We had residents talking like therapists, and their wordplay was slick. And then I had other friends, they were getting slammed in groups, actually ridiculed, challenged, but they actually got the most work in. I used to see them cry every group for 2 years, and now one of them's a therapist now, while the others have, that was just all wordplay. You can learn whatever you want. You can learn the tools of the trade, but if you don't know how to use the tools, mate, you're going to find it hard.
Absolutely. You know, I used to get group called on me all the time. Every time a group was called, the people used to come up to me and go, "What did you do, bro?"
Yeah.
I was like, "I don't know, but we'll find out." You know, but it was because I was combative, right?
Yes.
I wasn't surrendering. It took me ages to surrender, and I didn't really get it in rehab. It wasn't until I left and tried to put it into action that I started to realise all these things that we've been learning. Just keep it simple. Stay in the day. You know, if you go to bed with your head on the pillow clean, you know, that's another day straight.
Yeah.
You know? What do you think the best thing you learned for you personally, bro?
For me personally, say in these group spaces, like if you take a step back, we're understanding conflict resolution. We understand the way we react or respond to certain situations. And when you're visualizing other people in groups, you can see them triggering each other off, and it's all based on their lived experience.
Yeah.
You can see a boo-bed, you know, sticking their chest out, and they're batting for everything. Like, what'd you say? Putting their chest out.
Yeah.
Because they're scared of being belittled, because in jail, if they're being belittled, they're getting put on show. And the foundation of fear is, bang, you're going to get stood over.
Yeah.
And then you can see that on the reversal, say a woman comes from domestic violence, having been in a group with a boo-bed or a jailhead, that can resemble a person of their traumatic experience, whether it be domestic violence. And you see it play out, and understanding another person's lived experience and how it correlates with their triggers and their traumas and their interactions, I learnt about them. And which also in reflection, I learnt about me on how my behaviours impact others around me.
When I was in rehab, I fucking hated everybody. I fucking did, bro. I'm going to be straight up with you. I was like, they're all fucking snitches. They're always on to me. They're always giving a problem with me. These people today, Dennis, they're my best friends. They're people I genuinely love and care about. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the same thing. And it's like, going back to what you said before, it's like what I learned there, the strength in vulnerability.
Yeah.
You know, because when I used to see people in their group pouring their hearts out, this and that, I used to think of them as weak.
Yeah.
But no, because and that was at the start, but over time, I go, they're enabling trust within me.
Yep.
And what I realised is that the people that were in these group spaces, they were being vulnerable and it took me a long time to be vulnerable.
Yeah,
when I became vulnerable, I was vulnerable with the ones that were vulnerable to me because I have that trust. And that's one of the subtle things I learned.
What happens is when someone's vulnerable and they show you their true self, that's A, a superpower. B, what it does is it says to me, I'm making you safe to be vulnerable too, bro.
Yes.
Like I'm showing myself to you, and it gives you permission to show yourself to me, you know?
And that's the empowering thing. So when I see people like yourself, people like Danny Shannon, people like Troy, Jacob, Gaz, the whole works, anyone in this addiction recovery space, putting their life on the line or their emotions on the line to be open to be ridiculed, it takes a lot of strength, because I also see all the comments, you know, but I also understand from the person you used to be, I used to be, everyone else used to be, to maintain composure in their moments, that shows a lot of strength, and that's who I resonate with. Because if we lower our frequency to individuals with these comments, then it shows maybe you're not managing something right, and maybe there's something to work on. So the strength I see in yourself, especially, and others in this field, it's amazing. And I think you realise, or maybe you do, the impact you have by being a role model, and that's what we're talking about before. There's a lack of role models within the social media space.
Yeah. When you first got into rehab, bro, did you imagine you'd ever have the life you're living now?
No chance, because I've done detox 9 times already. You know, I was institutionalised very young because, you know, back with the lived experience of the street, jail, detox, and doing the cycle, and then doing the rehab this time, it's like, at the start, what I was saying before, is like it can become another system you got to run with. But to say, and I was saying this with Chainbreaker or Jarvis last night at the Cap Carter event, I go, 2019 we were in rehab. And goes, now have a look at us, you know. We run that rehab. We're having an impact on other people's lives. I'm doing it on social media, so are you, and you're having an impact in, you know, within Shepparton. And I go, not many people from our, you know, rehab has got this far. But the thing is because you showed up in every day, you know, so did I, with our own journeys. Lots of people like yourselves. And now it's, there is no way I would have thought I could be where I am today from where I was, but now I'm just showing it's possible.
I'll end with this, my brother. I want to say a couple of things to you. The first thing is that I watch you, and you're doing a phenomenal job, bro. You're out there today changing lives, and I want you to know, bro, for me personally, I'm fucking proud of you, bro. Like, I know what it's like to come from the street. I know what it's like to come from institution. I know what it's like to carry that fucking baton, you know what I mean? Because we're drilled that way, bro. But you actually said, you know what? I want a better life. Not only do I want a better life, I want to show you there's a better life.
Yeah.
And that's a fucking superpower, bro. I'm so proud of you, my brother.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, bro.